Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and earlier this year, I made a video covering all of the updates that happened to PokeMMO in the year 2022. A lot of people take breaks from PokeMMO. It's a very seasonal game for a lot of people, and I hope that video helped a lot of people out coming back to the game, catching up on everything they missed. Now, I realized that a lot of people take longer breaks than this. People want to understand the history of PokeMMO, so I'm deciding to make this into a little bit of a series. Today, I'm going to be covering all of the updates through the year of 2021, and I'll probably make more videos like this. If you guys seem to enjoy this one, make sure to like the video and subscribe. But let's just go ahead and jump into the first post. There was a total of 8 updates during the year of 2021. We're going to work backwards from December, aka the Christmas event 2021, and then backwards all the way up to the Lunar New Year event. Now keep in mind, just because it's a holiday event update doesn't mean it's just the holiday event. Usually a lot more things happen in between those or during that update. For example, this was the first year that the Christmas sleigh was added as a vanity, which I think is pretty notable. During this Christmas update, they also made it so you could actually play on the Android style of UI and the Android theme within the desktop version or PC version of PokeMMO, which I think is a pretty neat feature. They also noted they improved the animation for the motorcycle item, causing that to go up in price to some extent. This Christmas event specifically was filled with tons of bugs. They actually had to shut down the server multiple times to fix these. Now, thankfully, they actually mentioned because there have been multiple bugs which caused an unintended difficulty for the first day, the Xmas event has been extended by 1 day. It will now end on January 5th. And then other than that, it's mostly event-related bug fixes, and they handed out the prize, aka the Starlight hat, to all of the winners of that year's leaderboard. Alright, but next update, we have December 15th, 2021. The first feature being added is that the mail now has an outbox. Now, this essentially allows you to show what you were sent, or what you sent people, what you sent other players we can now keep track of and log, which was super nice. Similar to the trade log, which was later added this year in 2023. Mail now allows up to 5 attachments per type of message. It's crazy to think that we didn't have this until this point. Before this, I believe it was just 1 attachment per message, so you'd have to send 1 mail per Pokemon. Hopefully I'm remembering that correctly, because that sounds unbelievably terrible, but I don't even remember that. But that was 2021 when this was added. You know what? I think what this means is that you could send 5 of something, but you could not send 5 items and 5 Pokemon. I believe it was 1 or the other, or 5 things in total. Someone could correct me in the comments. And Randoms PvP went on to add Generation 4, which was pretty incredible, and that changed up the metagame quite a bit. Now we see things like Rotom taking over every aspect of Randoms. Rotom is still the best Pokemon in Randoms in every single form he has. Further balancing was added to randoms. They limited the amount of light screen and reflect users you would see on a team, and the number of party members who are of the worst 2 levels is now limited to 1 randoms per team. So this essentially made it so that you couldn't have like Seeking and Delibird on the same team. It was you're either gonna get Seeking or Delibird, one of those trashier Pokemon. I remember this update making a significant role in the balancing of randoms PvP, so I am super happy for this one. Some various bug fixes if you care about pausing and reading here, but I am not going to cover them in detail in this video. They updated the version of Java that used to run the game. This was pretty influential. And they made some Mac and Linux updates, making it available on the Snap Store now in Linux back in 2021. And that is it for the changelog of December 15th, 2021. All right, next up is Halloween 2021. Let's see what they did for this event. This was the year they brought the gray and brown werewolf mask into the game. I remember this one quite fondly. They have the ghostly hat and hex cloak vanities. Those return every year. Those are seasonal. We then got the bat's particle effect and the witch's cat particle effect, which returned every year at that point. This was the year that Chandelure Crocodile Typhlosion really became a super good strategy, if I remember correctly, at this boss. A couple nerfs here and there to the Halloween boss itself. Taunt effectiveness against the boss has been reduced. There is now a 50% chance it would fail. This was a big deal. Everybody was using taunt before this bug change. And once again, the Halloween event, similar to the Christmas one, was extended 1 day. And that was pretty much it for the Halloween event. Pretty simple, but we did get a bunch of good vanities from that year. Now we have a changelog from Desu. Really quick one, literally just 3 things. Bug fixes. Fix an issue with moves showing as hitting multiple times. I remember that being the case. You would use something like Seed Bomb, a single hitting move, and it would say, oh, it hit like 4 times. It would just be a text issue. It wouldn't actually make any impact, but it was interesting and common. Possible fix for sounds playing during other sounds when music is disabled. Fix an issue related to the reconnecting during team preview. Pretty simple stuff, but it was the only thing for this post. I thought I'd mention all of it. And here we have an update from October 7th, 2021. Changes. Randoms tiering stats are now available in the tiering window. This mode does not provide explicit species details, so you could actually see some statistics on the win rates and such of random Pokemon. Balancing. This is a big one. Dugtrio's base attack was increased from 80 to 100. This immediately shot Dugtrio back up to the OU tier, allowing him to be an arena trap niche Pokemon. A lot of people still have contention with this to this day. They have nerfed and rebuffed and nerfed Dugtrio over and over and over again, trying to get him to a balanced spot within PokeMMO. I don't know how he's doing nowadays. Maybe you OU players should let me know in the comments. And Geodude got to learn Tackle at level 5. What a benefit to him. And they updated some contest move data. Onto bug fixes. Quick summaries now close if clicking away. This was actually really nice and convenient. And some more contest bug fixes and other stuff. I'm not going to cover all of this. It's not super important. Next up, we have September 21st. On to the features. They added randoms. This was the initial implementation of the randoms format, which was pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how recent that was still. Randoms is a 6v6 matchmaking game mode which allows players to battle with randomized parties. Species from generation 1 through 3 are currently available. We saw them add 4 later on. Species availability will be expanded in future updates. This game mode is enabled after Badge 4 for matchmaking and dueling. Still one of the best formats, still super fun, and still the best way for new players to get into PvP. I love this update. Vanities now show the metadata related to their release. This can include which year they were released in, exclusivity, or how and where to find them. It would show event only, exclusive to this holiday event in this year. It would be a boss Pokemon reward, limited, all kinds of things like this. I love this, whether it was untradeable, whether it was seasonal, whether it was PvP earns. This is an incredible update. I feel like they've actually changed this to some extent over the past couple months. I think it has less information now, which I'm not a huge fan of. Hopefully that'll get fixed, but I love being able to see this on Vanities. Trainers in Kanto and Hoenn now have improved rematch parties to better align with gameplay from more recent regions. This essentially just means they made trainers more difficult. They added the pickup battle ability effect this update. Now, this didn't really matter for PVM. We were already using pickup Payday Meowth. This was more so for PvP or PVM, where you could actually pick up, retrieve items that were used by your partner. If they hadn't recovered, will not cover an item or items that are unreasonable or uncoverable, like air balloon or incinerated berries. I don't think this actually changed anything. Like, nobody uses this, I'm pretty sure, but it's interesting that it was implemented or not implemented until this point. Onto miscellaneous changes. Players can now control the zoom level of their camera. This was huge for content creation, might I add. Added Healing Wish to Mr. Mime's egg moves. This was actually something I made a forum post about, how I was trying to get Healing Wish on Mr. Mime, and you couldn't get it on Mr. Mime. You'd have to get it on Mime Jr. There was some really complicated breeding process for it, but I really like this. Healing Wish is a really interesting move, and Mr. Mime is a pretty unique Pokemon that can be slotted into a screener or a Trick Room team. Even though he's pretty fast, he can be the setter. I think it's really interesting. And I loved that he had this move, and I thought it was really cool. So I'm really glad they fixed that, or at least made that a lot more easier to have him have access to, because it's not like it's going to be super powerful anyway. This was also when they changed how mysterious gems work. So they essentially split them up into multiple gems, and then also changed the icon in game. I don't know exactly the reason for this. I don't know if they just didn't have rights to the icon or what happened, but yeah, so they changed the way mysterious gems looked in game, and the amount and how they function to some extent. Name change tickets can now have their availability checked before purchase. This is really cool. What this means is that essentially you don't buy a name change ticket off the gift shop without checking your name to see if it's available first. If you want to change your name to something and then you buy the ticket and that name is not available, that'd be a huge bummer. They fixed that. Sinnoh's berry plots can now function as berry plots. Isn't that nice? And this update allowed you to sign up for PvP battles using the Battle Box team. So you could actually have a different team of Pokemon on you and go essentially go payday pickup, go farm something, go do something PVM wise in game, and then just select your Battle Box to actually queue up for PvP, even if you don't have that team of Pokemon on you. On to some more balancing changes. Razorfang, Quick Claw, Focus Band, and King's Rock will now be broadcast of their presence when swapping in. This was really good so you didn't get Quick Claw cheesed or something like that. That's kind of just annoying. This is definitely just a good change to eliminate cheesy strategies in RNG. Typed gem creation has been rescaled. This was part of the mysterious gems change. They will now create double the gems, but hidden power modifications will now cost double. So yeah, I remember this. I mean, they changed it to 80. I think it cost 80 mysterious gems now, or it was either 20 to 40 or 40 to 80. So they doubled the amount, the usage of gems to essentially sink more out of the game, from my understanding, at least at that time. I don't really know the exact reasoning, but they doubled the gems. They doubled the pretty number. If the final party members in a battle faint due to Rocky Helmet retaliation damage, the attacker is now the winner. Previously, the defender would be. That's a good thing to do. Encourage aggressive gameplay. Repels now work normally in the Safari Zone. That's hilarious. They didn't before. Heal powders. Sell price has been reduced from 450 to 400. Fixed a bug where hidden power would consume normal type gems and essentially still act as such, even though it had a specific typing tied to it. There's a lot of bug fixes here. I'm going to scroll through them kind of quickly and just try to touch on the big ones. Wild encounters may no longer knock off a player's items. Fixed an issue where safari steps would be cleared after moving inside of a PvP spectate map. Fixed an issue where mailed money could be deleted if it exceeded the maximum money cap. Rest in peace. And then fixed an issue where the decks would not display correct data for hordes during different time slots, morning/day/night, which is a really nice fix. And then 2 days later on the same post, we did have some more bug fixes if you care about those. More zoom levels, some darkness stuff, some brightness, and then seasonal items properly getting that blue icon. They also added team name change plaques, which are similar to a name change ticket, but for a team in the gift shop, which is a really cool update. Randoms got a lot more balanced, having them be a lot more picky on how they select your team. No more than 2 of the worst possible tiers of species. This was later changed to no more than 1. No more than 2 of the same typing can be selected at the time. No more than 1 of a dual typing combination can be selected at the time. There was definitely a time where randoms was really frustrating with certain teams. I feel like it is much more skill based and much more evened out now. They've done a great job of balancing its sense. When reducing speed in randoms due to Trick Room, Gyro Ball, Metal Burst, IVs are now reduced too. This is really nice. This means a Pokemon that is trying to rock that strategy, a Gyro Ball Ferrothorn, for example, is gonna have a 0 speed IV versus just coming in with the default 31 in randoms like it normally would, which is pretty lame. However, we did get a nerf to the randoms rewards here, which is pretty brutal, and I don't know if it was necessary, but I understand since it's something that is so easily grindable after 4 gym badges. Random BP rewards were reduced from half of normal matchmaking to 30%. I guess they were worried about people botting BP and they really want to protect the value of it. I'm not sure. That seems really brutal though for actual legitimate players, I'm not gonna lie. Also, they use the term fortnightly rewards here instead of saying the rewards every 2 weeks from PvP. Kinda lame. Many randoms builds have been updated to suck less. Yes, they have. That was a good change. And that was mostly it for this update. There are some bug fixes here though, if you care about reading them. Alright, only 2 update posts left. Even though there were 8 total posts for 2021, it's kind of surprising how few things were added to the game, especially compared to 2022 in terms of the impact. A lot of it's just bug fixes, a lot of it's pretty small stuff. Randoms were added to the game and there were a lot of great vanities, so it is important to note that. But other than that, it's really a lot of small stuff. Let's go ahead and get into this update from May 11th. 2021. Various fixes for Snatch. We see more battle bug fixes. I'll read through and cover the big ones. One hit KO moves now respect lock on and no guard. I guess that's important. When the player is using struggle, you may no longer select the enemy targeted. I don't know why this is the mechanic. Maybe that's the way it is in traditional Pokemon, but I remember that change. Fixed an issue where when calculating evasion/accuracy, an attacker with Mole Breaker would not ignore Sandveil/Snowcloak. This is an important one for money making and farming. Frisk no longer shows which opponent is holding an item in the horde. You have to kill them all or check them all still. It'll just let you know if there is an item within that one horde. This is a sad one for a lot of people. Little Cup is no longer a selectable tier, and its associated tiering data has been removed. Rest in peace. Little Cup used to be an official format supported within the game, and this is just a bug fix, right? Battle bug fixes. This is literally just listed under bug fix, and they totally removed Little Cup. Understandably so. They were really trying to have more players play OU or just the main tiers in PvP to have less queues and everything. I think it's kind of extreme. Rest in peace. Unfortunate. Fixed an issue where if an attacker with a choice item was confused and they hit themselves in confusion, they would unset their choice move. That could be really problematic for PvP. And that was all just battle bug fixes. Now we have general bug fixes. Let's scroll through and see the important ones. This one's just interesting to note because there's very few players who this relates to, but some people are very rich in the game. Players who achieve the maximum amount of money, 2 billion Pokeyen, will now have their trades rejected instead of having their money destroyed when acquiring more. Note that NPC related actions like payday or trainer battles will no longer grant that money if achieving this value. And we have some really big breeding changes. When breeding, if a player already has the OT Dex entry for a child species, non-OT breeders will now breed full OT eggs. This essentially means that if you had OT caught a Caterpie one time within the game, you could then buy Caterpies off the GTL and breed them together, and they would all come out your OT. That was a really big change at the time. When breeding, if a player has bred a male OT shiny with a non-OT female shiny from the same evolution line, that is important, the result will now be a player's OT. This was huge for allowing players to essentially breed common shinies with each other. This allowed a lot more syncs for common shinies. So for example, let's say you had a male shiny Rapidash. Instead of having to breed with a shiny Ditto, you could then buy a female shiny Rapidash off the GTL, non-OT, buy that, breed that, and that will still come out your OT. It has to be the same exact species, but this was a really cool change for the economy and for common shiny syncs. And then if we scroll down from that post continuously, we reach another date, another changelog, 5, so May 14th, 2021. We have some more changes. Let's see what's up. Move tooltips now indicate natural gift typing. The maximum listing price for a single GTL item has been increased to 1.8 mil. This is now increased to 2 bill, or I think it's 1.9999999 to be exact. Thief no longer fails when feinting the target and does not bypass Sturdy. This is a big deal. They've changed whether Thief works whenever you kill the target on and off throughout the years of PokeMMO. This has literally been changed so many times. Hordes now carry less items and pickup occurs much less frequently versus hordes. This was really just a nerf to amulet coin farming, everstone farming, whatever it may be in those horde locations. Really, amulet coin farming was a huge one, but anything that was used to farm items was essentially nerfed. All right, and scrolling down within the same post, another post 6 days later, May 20th, 2021, with some more changes and bug fixes. We have one more to cover after this. Move tooltips now show stat, stage, and adjustment percentages chances if the move's effect does not always proc, example, crunch. And then on June 3rd, we had some more bug fixes, none of which are really relevant, so I'm not going to read over them, but if you want to, they are right here for you to pause and read. Everything read here today will obviously be linked in the description as well. I always use all my sources and I try to spread that information pretty aggressively. So you guys can read through all of this at your own pace if you so choose. Now, moving on, we have the Lunar New Year Events 2021. Pretty typical to the previous years. They introduced some cool new things. They do this. Vanity items are now color coded depending on the rarity. This was a really big update. This was super nice for clarity and to stop scams or people unaware of seasonal items, etc, etc. So now we have marked items being common / gray, black items are PvP, gift shop items are green, seasonal items are blue, event items are red, and limited items are gold. Where applicable, mark prices are now shown for vanity items. Players may no longer charge excessive prices for marked items on the GTL. That's good to not scam those new players for those straw hats and such. And here is the implementation, maybe one of the biggest updates of this year, the infamous Golden Dragon Mask. This vanity was the fastest rising in price vanity anyone has ever seen for a very long time until the White Rabbit plush, which is now unbelievably ravaging the PokeMMO economy. But this thing went from, it was released, it was 4 mil Pokeyen in the gift shop, essentially, with RP and everything. It was 4 mil during the event. It rose all the way up to 25 and to 30 mil just 1 year later. This thing absolutely spiked and was beloved by many, many communities. We had Shiny Charms return. Before the updates of 2023, Shiny Charms were actually only brought in during the Lunar New Year event, but nowadays they seem to be brought in during almost every holiday event, which has really impacted the price of them. We have some more bug fixes here. This one's kind of important. Trick may no longer be used by holders of mail items, so you can't just trick a totally useless item, I guess, onto a person. There has to be some sort of risk where even if you're tricking like a lagging tail or something, you could trick it onto a Trick Room Pokemon and make them slower and make them more powerful. So I guess that is honestly pretty fair. Trick is balanced around being high risk, high reward, so it makes a lot of sense to not have you always just be able to guaranteed disrupt someone with mail. And then more bug fixes and a changelog from February 14th. Was this, I believe this was what, Valentine's Day? So we'll go ahead and I'll scroll through here and see if there's anything important. And none of this is really important, and it's all pretty much just balancing for the Lunar New Year event, but I thought this one was funny. Fixed an issue where Dig, when using the Lunar New Year co-op event, would cause players to get stuck. Kind of imagine players becoming like Diglett. And then they handed out the prizes to the Lunar New Year event leaders, and that was it. That was the year of 2021 in PokeMMO. A decent amount of big things with randoms PvP, server changes, the Java 11 change, etc. But nothing super crazy. Nothing as crazy as 2022. Nothing as crazy as 2023. Updates are pretty slow in general for PokeMMO. It's a pretty small dev team, but they do try their best. I think they do a decent job, and it's always good to appreciate the history that we have here with the update logs. It's also important to note that not everything gets covered in the update log. Sometimes the developers leave a lot of hidden content for us to discover in the game. They really like doing that, so you're not aware of everything heading into an event. So if I missed something super crucial, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Like this video if you did enjoy it and it was helpful to you. That helps me out a ton. Dislike if you didn't enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. Follow the Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday every single day at 12 p.m. ET. Discord link is down below. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, support the content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, PayPal and Venmo, all that stuff really does help me stay afloat. I appreciate it. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Yo, thank you so much for watching until the very end of the video. I really appreciate that, and hopefully it was worth your time. If your name is on this list, that means I appreciate you even more, and you go above and beyond and physically allow my channel to function. I appreciate you so much, and have a great day.